Hi guys, welcome to Perseverance Software Training Institute. All right, I'm Sai Chiran. So, in this series of Docker, the next topic we'll look into is, basically port mapping. So, before we enter into this topic exactly, so just understand now, right? So, basically, we have something like ports. What are ports? Let me explain you. All right. So basically, I'll tell you. So we have our server on which we have some application, right? And that application should, user should be able to connect to this particular application. All right. Fine. So this is our just a simple understanding on we have a server on top of which we have application running. All right, fine. So what are our ports? So for example, just consider, right? Let me go to tutorial points. Yeah, tutorial points, whiteboard marker. Yeah. All right. So this is our server. This is our application, right? Users, external users via internet will be able to connect to this application, right? So here how it is entering the server is the point, right? So let me explain you with a real-time example. We have a house, right? We have something like gates, correct? So once we consider this is the compound of a house and this is main entrance, right? Main gate. So after that, this should be opened. We should be allowed to enter into gates. Then we have house where we again have, you know, uh, entrance here with main doors, right? Main entrance doors, all right? So if we open it, we can go inside, all right? So in the same way, right, this is a server, this is the application. So to enter into the server and application, right? So an application runs on, okay, every application will be exposed on a port, right? We basically have 65,535 ports in total across the IT, you know, globe, right? So we have these many ports. So let me explain you another one, right? So we have our Linux server residing in Mumbai now. So if Sai wants to talk to this particular server, so it is somewhere in Mumbai and I'm right now in Tirupati. All right. From Tirupati, if I want to connect to the server in Mumbai, okay. So here, as we are talking to Linux server, so we should have a medium, right, to talk to Linux server. That medium is SSH, which is called a secure shell. All right. And definitely, though the medium is there and we go through and via that particular, medium, we talk to the server, but on the server there will be something like ports. What are ports? If you want to talk to Linux server via SSH will have port 22 by default. So that port will be available here. As told, we have 65,535 ports. So it is port 22 now, right? So this port 22 should be opened, right? It's a digital port because this is a digital medium, right? So we should allow something digitally which allows the incoming traffic on this particular port so that we talk to Linux. All right. So another example for you. Now consider this server is Windows now. All right. Sai wants to talk to Windows server now. Now the medium changes. It is RDP, which is remote desktop protocol. SSH is secure shell. So this, if the external user want to talk to a remote Windows server, remote in the sense it is residing somewhere, I want to talk to that particular Windows server, I need to have this RDP medium. All right. Anyways, so it will be, it's a digital medium, right? On the server, we should allow port 3389. RDP stands for Remote Desktop Protocol, right? So if this port is opened here, this is a digital port. Opened here meaning, just try to get a sense out of it. Opened here meaning is we are allowing the traffic on the server on this particular port, the incoming traffic to the server. Now, so you got to know what are mediums and ports, right? Now, consider if somebody is trying to connect to the server, to the, think in the context of server, right? So, to the in the context of server, this connection is incoming connection. If the server itself initiates a connection, that is outgoing connection. All right, got it, right? Why? Because we are discussing something which is related to this now. So let me explain you now. So we have server, now we have container, right? So inside container, consider we have an application called as Jenkins, right? It is a continuous integration tool. It is a software again. All right, so Jenkins basically operates on 8080, okay, yeah, and it is at the container level, right? But the thing is, this is our main server, all right, on which container is running on. So what happens is, if somebody wants to talk to the application which is running inside the container, they should cross server, right? So at the server level, they should have some port again allowing that incoming connection, incoming traffic, okay, because we are talking to Jenkins. All right, so now at this container level we have 8080, and at the server level we should map a port where when somebody's connection is allowed on 8080, that will directly routes to this particular container on 8080, right? This is simply called as port mapping. So just understand, once I show the slides, you will get complete comfortability. Now understand the concept here. So we have, this is our Docker host, right? And container 1, container 2, container 3. We have 3 containers, right? So at the container level, C1 application is running and exposed on 8080. Even C2 is running and exposed on 8080. Is it possible to run 2 different applications with the same port? Inside the containers, yes, we already discussed that containers are completely isolated, right? So they are isolated, okay, they are completely isolated, correct? Fine. All right, now what happens? Yeah, yeah, now what happens? Container 1 is exposed on port 8080, container 2 is also on the same port, container 3 is also on the same port. All right, 3 containers are allowed on the same port, correct? The thing is, as it is at the container level, that is fine because things are isolated. But if somebody externally wants to talk to the container C1, they should cross server and enter and talk to the container C1, right? So at the server level, they should have some port mapped, and that mapped port will forward the traffic, incoming traffic, to the required port 8080, okay? All right, in the case of C2 also, if somebody wants to talk to C2, they should have some port. Now if you see here, the ports are changing because at the server level, one application, right? I mean, one port can be allocated to single application. We cannot allocate single port to multiple applications, right? Because it is at the server level. If this is the server, if on the server, if one port is blocked and no other connection can be connected here. All right, you got it, right? Let me re-explain. If this is the server, if somebody wants to enter to the server, so maybe consider it is on port 8081. Okay, this particular port is already being used by some application A. So, okay, now another application B cannot use the same port because it is being used already by application A, right? This works. That is where at the server level we are using different ports. Now, if somebody connects to 8081 port, it will take to 8080 because these are mapped like this. I'll come to this command. I mean, here it is 8080 at the server level, 8080 at the container level as well. But here in this rule, it comes like this then, right? 8081 colon 8080. So this is at the server level, this is at the container level, right? And if somebody wants to talk to C2, they should cross 8082 and talk to C2. If somebody wants to talk to C3, they should cross 8083 and talk to C3. All right, fine guys, perfect. And now let's now understand the command. I hope you got a concept here. So now docker run -p for port mapping. All right, we can also call as port forwarding. All right, now the first port is the port which should be allocated at the server level. The second port is port which should be allocated in the sense like this port is being used by the application running inside the container. All right, so what happens is like just understand here, it might be tricky for now. So the first port 8080 is blocked at the server level and the second is 8080. This port meaning is the application which is running inside a container is exposed on 8080 port at the container level. All right, that is the one. So in case we have these three, right, these three rules and these three containers, so how it will be connected now? So like this. So this is rule 1 for second container, this is mapping for second container, and this is mapping for third container. Got it guys? So this is how it works, right? All right, so we'll see the deployment in next video. All right, so that you are comfortable. Yeah. All right, thanks guys.